Boom shakalaka in the house. Raise the roof, raise the roof, raise the roof, raise the roof. For you. May the 4th be with you, everybody. And this guy over here too.
Yeah. Good evening. May the 4th be with you as well. Happy Star Wars Day.
Happy Star Wars Day. May you Wookiee out with your Solo and Jedis and Skywalkers tonight.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. In fact, we just got done watching episode 1 of The Bad Batch, which is the new Star Wars, The Clone Wars spin-off show that released on Disney Plus today.
Yes, sir.
It's my second viewing within the day because Ry hadn't seen it yet, and we're not going to do... I mean, it's Star Wars Day. We're going to talk about something Star Wars related, so why not talk about The Bad Batch?
I walked in the door and you're like, have you watched The Bad Batch? No? Turn the monitor, put it on.
Stop all prep. Everything's done. Hard stop. We're going to check this out. We watched it. We just got done watching it. Thankfully, most of the prep was already done ahead of time, so it wasn't like we were out a whole lot.
Yeah.
And then we dived right in. So, yeah. Anyway, so hi everybody. I missed you. I don't know if you missed me, but I know I missed you. Last weekend there was no shows at all because some reason I woke up Wednesday morning and started to get the beginnings of a sinus infection. And it just progressed and was very miserable. Friday, I was sitting there going, all right, do I think I can talk for 8 hours? Well, no, I don't talk the entire 8 hours, but I talk a good chunk of it as a dungeon master, even though my players get into it. But, okay, so maybe I talk 4 out of the 8 hours, all right? Half the time for each show, whatever. Don't judge, all right? Anyways, I didn't feel I could talk that much because I was really kind of feeling bad, and if I talked too much, I would start hacking and coughing, and honestly, that just would not be fun. So, figured, you know what? I will call out sick for the weekend, and I did the sick things. You know when you're at that point when you're sick and you're not gonna get anything productive done because every time you get in that groove, all of a sudden being sick rolls right into it and you're just screwed out of doing anything productive. Yeah, that's how I felt. And of course, my big thing is I had my second COVID shot this morning, and I did not want to go in feeling sick because my fear was if I showed up there sneezing and coughing or whatever, be like, oh, sorry, you're sick. We can't give you a vaccine when you're already sick. I'm like,
turn around.
I know I was going to say another word, but I'm going to be like, blank, please. I want this shot. I want this done and off my plate.
Yes, sir.
I mean, full disclosure, I never wanted to get the vaccine. However, it is the socially minded thing to do. It is the civically minded thing to do right now. At least that's what everybody's pushing. So rather than have the disdain and potential judgment from others because why didn't you go get your shot? You can't do anything if you don't get your shot. No, just we're not going there. Give me the injections. Fine. Have a nice day. I've got my little card. It says I'm good. So
you're good.
The thing is, I was telling a few friends that were reaching out today and telling them, look, I expect come Thursday morning, I am going to be completely useless because when I got my first shot, about 50 hours later, which was Thursday, I got it on Tuesday at 10:15 in the morning. At about Thursday, about 12-ish, I was just not feeling right. I was not in a good space.
Yep, it hits everybody differently.
So I'm already anticipating that this Thursday at about noon, maybe sooner, I'm probably going to be in a horrible state. But I would figure it out. I will stay positive and optimistic and be like, no, I'm not doing that.
Stay positive, my friend.
Trying to stay positive. I want to stay positive.
It might just be a sore arm, and then you can hop, skip away, and do your things. So, you never know.
Yay. Really? I just see in the chat. Really?
Yeah. I didn't say anything. Somebody else said something.
Hey, you know what? I've leveled up in life. I have now achieved another level. I don't know what skills I unlock or what skill points, but I do know that I am now at the age that my age is the answer to the universe. Now the only question is, what's the question?
What is the question?
So, if you know the movie, great. If you don't, you need to go check it out. It's actually a wild riot ride.
Check it out, people.
All right. Oh, so Ry, how you been, man?
I have been good. Just busy on different ends. Work is always busy. You know what I do there. School wrapped up last week with a final class. So now just waiting for grades to be posted and, get my grades over to...
Why are you worried about grades being posted? We already know you nailed it.
Well, you still kind of want to make sure everything's good to go. Because, good grades...
Did you make it? Are you confident you made at least a B on every class?
I'm confident I made at least an A, and it's one class.
A 4.0 average. I mean, you're already above the 3.0. You're at the 4. I mean, seriously. Now, unless you're like this group of valedictorians out of that.
I know what you're about to talk about. Out of.
Did y'all hear about this story? Oh my gosh! It came across. It was in Texas, right? It was a class 5 valedictorians. 5 in a single high school class. Holy cow!
Yes, 5 valedictorians.
And the worst part is their GPAs were 5.0. How do you get a 5.0?
Yeah.
I mean, literally, an A is worth 4 points, a B is worth 3 points, and it goes down. How do you get a 5?
Houston High School makes history with 9 valedictorians with a 5.0 GPA.
Okay, my bad. 9.
Bellar High School in Houston. I put the link in the chat, people.
Wow. Hats off to them with all this crazy shenanigans for COVID. And I think there was a couple of them that were doing college classes and their high school classes at the same time. I mean, that's the kind of stuff in the education system that really gets me pumped and excited and hopeful, because really, come on. I mean, we have so many resources kids can learn from, and just encouraging them to do it.
5.0 is, you can be looking at it as an inflated number, or you can see that you have potential and you're making your kids want to do the greatest they can. So that's how I see it.
Interesting story about kids. And you know what? I'm sorry. I'm going to throw out, you know who I'm talking about when I sit there and say this. A friend of mine sent me a video. Her youngest son just bought a truck.
Vroom, vroom.
Now, what he bought was an antique truck.
What make and model?
It looked like it was possibly a late 70s, perhaps 80s, either Ford or Chevrolet.
Okay.
I mean, the tires were so dry rotted they were falling off the rims. I mean,
that's nice.
I didn't listen to the audio of the video, but I did watch it. And I'm like, this car the truck looks really nice. I've always kind of wanted one of the 30s and 40s trucks, so I could redo the bed and match it with like a Harley Davidson. I don't know why.
Little by little.
Yeah, I mean, I've always thought about, it'd be nice to work on a project truck. My uncle rebuilt a GTO several in the late 90s.
That sounds magical.
Really beautiful car, great shop to hang out in. Unfortunately, he had to sell the car, but life happens. But I've always kind of liked the idea of restoring an old vehicle. But seeing this truck that her son bought, and was like, wow. And it's like, he got it for like $300. And I'm like, yeah, you're probably going to still drop a few grand in there just to get it going. And the nice thing is the son is not oblivious to this. He knows he's going to be putting money into it, but he has friends that work on vehicles. So it's a project he's getting into. And I'm like, that is really cool to see somebody want to get into a non-computerized vehicle.
Oh yeah, it's a 79 Ford F-150 according to a friend in the chat.
So yeah, a 42-year-old car, a 42-year-old truck.
Yes, I had to do the math in my head real quick. Yes.
Really? I made a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy reference and you didn't remember it?
It's been a while.
Oh, okay. I'll give you that one. It's
been a while. Yeah, I watch a lot of things. It's been a while.
Before we get too far along, let me give a quick shout out to Sirenscape. Sirenscape is a resource for using background music and soundboards for your tabletop experience. Tonight, in honor of Star Wars Day, we're not going to go with the high fantasy of D&D realms. We're going sci-fi. We have ourselves the Alien Cantina, which we got to be careful because we just never know what's going to be around. You never know when, a trooper's going to come by and there's going to be some kind of shootout.
Yeah, we'll never know who shot first. Who shot first?
We always know who shot first.
Sure. Okay.
But you never quite know.
Never know.
I mean, the troopers are around, so we got to be careful. But you know what? We're going to hang out in the cantina tonight.
All right. Well,
So gotta love Sirenscape. Go check out sirenscape.com.
Thank you, Sirenscape.
Should be some links in the chat below. They're awesome, great guys, and they have a lot of new sound sets coming out. They're revamping all the Ravenloft sound sets for Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, which is due to come out in a couple of weeks.
Sounds good to me.
I think probably about 14 days, because I think that it's May 18th is the release date. So you can go to D&D Beyond and pre-order that right now for a digital copy, or go to your local game store and pre-order a hard copy.
Do it, people. Do it. All right. Well.
Oh, all right. So, gonna keep drinking. Doc said you drink lots of water after getting your COVID shot. So, trying to do both. Been on a steady diet of orange juice for the last 4 days. I had to get back to my Mountain Dew.
Drink the smooths of Mountain Dew. But yeah. Rewind. So, yep. Other than school. And might not getting a 5.0 GPA, but getting a high marks, hopefully.
Hey, it's still worth it, man.
But yeah, finish that. But I always find it funny, like the second the semester hit, they quickly slap that tuition for fall right on the day school ended. So I was like, yeah, they really craving their money.
Craving the money, also, again, trying to keep flowing with classes. I mean, It is what it is. You got to do that.
Oh, yeah. But, it'll be paid when the time comes. But the weekend was fun. Had a little shindig party at my girlfriend's house on Saturday night. Filled with food, drinks.
Wait a minute. Isn't there like some kind of milestone event that happened?
Sunday. I'm working. I'm
Sunday. Sunday. I mean, what's that? What's that? How many years now?
We're celebrated 4 years together on Sunday, and for our 4-year occasion, we did a photo shoot, which nice. I will once I get a hold of the photos, all the photos, I will post them on the Instagram.
Cool.
Coming soon. And then we also hit up Bravo's for dinner, and then just kind of passed out when we got back to my house, because when you eat a lot of food, you just get the itis. So.
Yeah, I can't say I did anything interesting. I know last week, beginning of the week, my dad called me up. I was actually at the grocery store with my daughter getting some stuff, and my dad called and says, "Hey, what you doing tomorrow?" Getting ready for the podcast. Why? Hey, you want to do some work? Okay. That client we helped out, she wants to expand her deck again.
Expansion.
Okay.
5th edition.
So, I think I talked about this last week, but wanted to add another 6 feet, and then as we got it framed up, she was like, "My table's not going to fit." We're like, "Get your table up, let's check it out." And sure enough, it wouldn't really fit. I mean, it would fit, but you couldn't really walk around easily. So I was like, all right, well, let's add another 6 feet. So we added a 6x12 section on the front, repositioned the stairs, and laid that out. We got all that done Wednesday. Came home, felt fine. Then Thursday, of course, everything went south. So
it happens. It happens.
It happens. I mean, it is what it is. But I'm about 98% better than I was last week, so that's a good thing. I still have a little bit of congestion and whatnot, but I'll be fine. I'll be fine till I get I'm hoping that my COVID, my post-shot symptoms, ailment, whatever you want to call it, sits there and it just kind of ties in with this current crud, and it all washes out of the system. Be like, oh look, he's already, no biggie.
Sweat it out, drink it out, wash it out. Let's make it go out.
Pretty much.
Night, Debbie.
Oh, good night, Debbie. Have a good one. Alrighty, so what do we got tonight? We got a movie review, and we got a show review talking about The Bad Batch. We're going to talk about some video game stuff, and if we still have time, may do some odds and ends, or we might save odds and ends for Sunday with Scoob or whatnot. So let's kind of see how it goes. Let's dive right into our reviews. Review number 1, the latest Tom Clancy inspired film, Without Remorse, dropped on Amazon Prime last week.
Yep, last Friday.
This is the latest film with Michael B. Jordan. Again, this is a Tom Clancy inspired thing, so it's espionage and all kind of political intrigue and military spec ops type things. I gotta say though, I mean, Michael B. Jordan definitely is a powerhouse actor right now, right, with all the different projects he's working on.
The Creed series, Killmonger, and Black Panther, and various other ones.
Oh, I mean, he's been busy. I mean, almost as busy as Anthony Mackie. I mean, it seems like every week there's a new film with Anthony Mackie in it.
Oh yeah,
But
there's a new one on Netflix. I saw just moseying along. So
yeah, but anyways, let's talk about Without Remorse. Ry, take it away.
Remorse. Yep. Just to reiterate, it is the new Tom Clancy property based off a book of the same name, and it focuses on John Kelly, played by Michael B. Jordan. And after a series of tragic events, he is a Navy SEAL. They go on a mission. After this mission, there's a series of tragic events, which leads to him to go on a path of revenge. And then through this path of revenge, what seems like just another mission for the SEALs to go on to turns into a complex web of lies in the shadows. So basically, as Scuba pointed, this is an espionage thriller through and through. It's based on a very common based on common action espionage thriller concept as its foundation. So in the beginning, you're introduced to John Kelly, and it's very quick and very fast paced in the beginning. It pretty much sets the stage for this rescue mission. He goes in Syria. It's supposed to be a routine in and out, and something unexpected happens. Through that mission, which is the inciting incident, it leads through a series of events that leaves a devastating impact on Kelly and his team. And then through some convenient conversations, Kelly turns this into what I call a prospect of revelation. And from this key incident, it triggers another series of events that leads to the squad on mission scenario, which leads to the bigger plot of conspiracy. From there, this film is basically just a rehashing of every kind of action, espionage, thriller, action, adventure of military kind that you could find anywhere. It doesn't really elevate past its basic tropes, so you have the basic military tropes, the government conspiracy themes, and the typical hero archetype with Michael B. Jordan. The one saving grace in this film is Michael B. Jordan himself, because his own charisma and his persona actually lifts you and carries you through the journey, even when things just seem very unorthodox, because there is a lot of terrible dialogue in this film, and it made me shake my head at certain points of at certain scenes when he's having conversations with people, especially his correct me if I'm wrong, but she was his sergeant or general, but higher up.
Yeah, she was a lieutenant commander. I mean, she was a lieutenant commander, and he was a senior chief.
But through that dialogue and expositional conversation, it's littered throughout typical gunfights, typical action set pieces, and heroic moments. Moving at such a fast pace, it seems like the directive just wanted to highlight the action elements more than actually develop some kind of personality and character to the journey. So everything just feels very monotonous and methodical in a way where it's just boring, and just you really don't know what to expect except for the obviousness with certain introduction of characters. You know where this film is going right from the beginning.
Oh yeah.
And then once certain revelations happen, it turns into a very predictable setup of hero versus villain, with the whole idea of a redeeming hero. But what you come to find out full circle in this film, it just seems like it's a jumping board for something else in the future.
Yeah, it feels like it's more or less we're taking a side character from other Tom Clancy products, and we're seeing his more or less origin story.
Yeah.
Obviously, judging from some of your thoughts, this movie didn't really stick out in your mind.
It didn't really stick out. Like you don't have to be original to be great, but even if you are rehashing the same kind of tropes within the genre, you got to bring personality to that material. And if you're not trying to develop some kind of sequence from beginning, middle to end, it just turns into a monotonous display of, just set pieces, explosions, and just the unorthodox situations just become, just monotone. Like you can appreciate over the top sequences if there are slight explanations or just a pinpoint. Case in point, two films came to mind when I talked about this. Currently this year, Godzilla's vs. Kong, and last year, almost the identical same time, is Extraction with Chris Hemsworth on Netflix.
Now, I haven't watched Extraction yet, but as far as this feeling familiar,
Yeah.
I would have to say Zero Dark 30,
Yeah.
Black Hawk Down.
Yeah.
You know, those kinds of films where it's this gritty kind of spec ops team and everything just goes completely off the rails. It feels a lot like that. That for me, though, I really enjoyed this film for this pure fact that I enjoy Tom Clancy. I've enjoyed his books. I've enjoyed his stories. I like the concept of of some of these clandestine things. I mean, childhood dreams of wanting to be involved in this kind of stuff because I thought it was really cool, but more so the nuance of some of these things. And then coming at it from some of those things in my background, being a prior military kind of background, and more or less kind of watching through some of the airsofter things with some of the milsim type stuff. A lot of the beats and the pacing feel quite right. It's nice. You can see how effectively they move as a team and go through some of these situations. And granted, some of them are a little over the top.
Yeah.
And plot armor is plot armor, no matter how you cut it.
Yeah.
But it's still a very fun ride, even though it is a very predictable ride. And if you're a fan of Tom Clancy,
yeah, then
there are elements of this story that are kind of service to Tom Clancy's stories. His commanding officer that you talked about, the lieutenant commander, her name is Greer. Now, if you're not familiar with the name, in Hunt for Red October, in every one of the Jack Ryan films, there's an Admiral Greer who turns out to be her uncle, and he's referenced in the movie. And then at the end, there's a reference to Rainbow.
Yes,
and
there is.
He is now, and understanding this character, his name this is a complete revamping of this particular character, because we've actually seen this character in the Jack Ryan stories. In fact, in some of the earlier ones with Harrison Ford, this character appeared.
Yeah.
In those stories. It's just he was played by William Dafoe in the earlier iterations, and now he's being played by Michael B. Jordan. So they've done some definite changes with the story, but I don't care about that. I care about the actor and and what they bring to it. And this seems like a very much a side character origin. It's not it's not a Michael Bayism type film, but if it is enjoyable. Now I had to watch it in two part of sit downs, because I watched first half, then I had to go and do something and came back and watched the second half, but I didn't feel disappointed. I felt actually like I really want to see what happens.
Yeah.
It's kind of like reading a good book. When you read a good book and you get to a certain point in that book where it's like, all right, I've read to this point. Now I don't want to put this book down because I want to know what happens.
Yeah. There are some parts of the film that are enjoyable to a degree, but it just seemed like it was just plot point from point A to point B, and it didn't really try to bring any kind of like personality to the action. It was way too basic, at least for me. And
that's fine. What did you give this one?
Overall, I think, like you said, if you're a fan of Tom Clancy, and if you're just a fan of just fun action, you will have fun in this film. There's a lot of great action in this, but overall I think it's a good Friday night at home. 2.5 out of 5. It is on Prime Video, so check it out.
If you have Amazon Prime, do that. That's cool. I actually would give it a 3.0 because I found it enjoyable, and it's lean more towards some of those nuances of connections to other Tom Clancy properties. Before we get into our next review, there's some conversation in the chat. In case you aren't aware yet, the rumor has it that the Pfizer is about to be approved for adolescents 12 to 15.
Yes, within the few days, at least that's what
it's sometime next week. They're supposed to be approving it. Apparently, the early results for adolescents are going really well, so they're pushing the FDA to approve the use of the vaccine, of that particular version of the vaccine, for adolescents. Could be as soon as next week, so figure in 2 weeks everyone from 12 to whatever is going to be eligible to get their Pfizer vaccine. Biden has sat there and said he wants to have 70% of adults in America with at least one half of the vaccine by July 4th. Ambitious? Probably. Doable? Maybe. We'll see what happens.
Hope for the best.
And speaking of world domination and world order, oh, I'm sorry, I don't mean to tie the two of those together. Let's talk about the Bad Batch. All right, so the Bad Batch, the new Star Wars show that came out on Disney Plus. Their premiere episode is 70-something minutes long, so it is not a typical kind of half hour and we go, but again, every one of these animated bits do have an extended episode to kind of introduce you to the world, or in this case, reintroduce you to the world, reintroduce you to the characters of the world, and start the story moving into, okay, what direction is this going to go? Right off the bat, if you're not familiar with this one, Star Wars The Clone Wars, the final season, introduced the Bad Batch as kind of a soft kind of premiere in a 4-episode arc where they rescue someone who ends up becoming a member of the Bad Batch. But this picks up literally during the events of Revenge of the Sith, so it's all blocked in as that. There's actually some moments from Revenge of the Sith that they animated as part of the Bad Batch, as part of this episode, which was really nice.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
So, but we're starting off, we're introduced now. If you're not familiar, Bad Batch, there's Clone Force 99, a set of, now, if you're not familiar, let's start this. If you're not familiar, the clones are genetic copies of a bounty hunter named Jango Fett, who was a foundling. We know that he as part of this deal, he wanted an unaltered clone, which we know grows up to become Boba Fett. But when we meet Clone Force 99, they are a set of clones that are not traditional clones because they have abnormalities in their genetic code that the Camoans actually encouraged. So where we have someone who has got heightened senses and thinks he's out of an 80s action movie with his haircut.
I love that haircut.
We have a guy who's got exceptional sharpshooting skills. We've got a guy who's just completely intelligent and uber smart. We have the guy who stands a foot taller than all the rest of them and is like a juggernaut type of character. And the 5th member of the squad is someone who we introduced during the Clone Wars. His name was Echo. He was believed dead, then rescued. Go check out the final season of Clone Wars to get that arc. I don't want to spoil it too much. It's actually a really good arc. But this is them right at the end of the Clone War, and Order 66 has been initiated. The Jedi have been being systematically wiped out. And these guys find themselves kind of unsure of where to go next because for some reason Order 66 had a different effect on them than it did other clones, and that starts to put them at odds.
Yes, sir.
I thought this was a really interesting episode to start with, but Ry, tell me your thoughts.
My thoughts of the episode, it was a very well-paced and methodical, at least for me, an introduction to the Bad Batch. It does a good job of, bringing you back into the Star Wars universe, where they, like I like call in some movies, they do just the drop-in method. You follow the team, you're introduced to it, the Order 66 happens, certain ramifications happen after that because of their reaction to the Order, and you get to learn very subtly, what I noticed in the episode, you get to learn very subtly the characteristics and the personality of the team, both individually and together, which I appreciate it because they didn't do it in a way where it was forced exposition. It was very organic within, that camaraderie kind of thing. So you get to watch them as they work their way, trying to figure out their place in this new galaxy, and it does set it off on their adventure where it's going to be very Mandalorian-esque, if I can make a word up, where you can see they're going to be traveling from place to place. Not only, it looks like they will be helping the rebels, and also running away from certain individuals.
Yeah. Now, interesting, and this is something I want to ask you. you're not as entrenched in the various Star Wars shows than I am.
Yeah, I'm a fan, but I don't know all
How
of the
did
lore.
this episode feel to you as somebody who has watched a bits and pieces, but isn't current on everything that's been released?
I think it does a good job of seamlessly putting you into the world where you don't have to watch all of this stuff to focus on this show. It's very encapsulated on this group of individuals and how are they going to survive this post-Republic world. So I think it does a good job of setting place, in the world. You have an idea of what's going to happen, and you don't need to know the Easter eggs that happen. Like, if you know it'll benefit you, but at the same time, it does a good job of what a pilot episode is supposed to do is put all the pieces in place so that the rest of the episodes does a better, does the job of opening up the layers of the what, why, and how. And I think that's what it does good. It puts you in the world, you care about this group because you can tell that they aren't your typical clones. And you can tell that they were fighting, they have a fight for a cause, but since the cause is unknown, they have to find what is their purpose again, which I like that because it gives that trajectory of what is morally right and wrong, and you get to see it within this group quickly. And they don't do it in a way where it's tropey or one-dimensional. It's enveloped as to why certain characters make certain decisions. So, I appreciate the level of character detail without being force-fed. It's very organic, and that's what I appreciate of the Star Wars shows that I've watched. It's very organic.
Back to the classic stuff with the classic trilogy is like we're more focused on the journey than anything else.
Yeah, and that's what we mentioned when we talked about Mandalorian. It's the journey that makes you appreciate the overarching. You don't want everything, because there's supposed to be 16 episodes. You're not going to get everything in one episode. If you did, it would make the show crappy in a way. You want it to stretch. You want it.
I'm open these 16 episodes a little bit more than 30 minutes per se, but
we never know. It is Disney Plus, so they can do whatever they want.
Well, I mean, they've done really well with the show length for The Mandalorian, and that's all live action. Here's the animated stuff, so you probably get away with some of that still being in there. I mean, one of the things, and you and I are both kind of in agreement on this. This episode, said and done, is 70 minutes long, but you sit down and watch it, you don't realize you've spent 70 minutes watching a film.
It's very
engaging. It feels like a film.
Yeah, it's very engaging, and it's that subtle attachment. It's not in your face. It's very subtle and methodical in a way where just great writing, and it's just another props to David Filoni. He knows how to write these characters, even if it's new characters or old characters. He knows where to position them.
And we got to give a shout out to Bradley, to the voice actor who does the clones in the Clone Wars. That dude, this is kind of it's kind of a one-man show in the sense that he voices every clone and manages to make every clone that's a named clone sound unique. Even some of the non-named ones, if any of them are talking, there's kind of a nuance to how each one sounds. So got to give him mad props for his voice acting ability.
Oh yeah, he's definitely, he's on his game on that.
But yeah, Bad Batch is out. Go check it out on Disney Plus. It's really, I thought it was a really fun ride. I can't wait to see how the series progresses.
So any other shows you managed to catch an eye on? We were talking off air of all the stuff we've been watching.
Oh, I mean, excuse me. Yeah, I finished Shadow and Bone on Netflix. It's 8 episodes of that. That one was really good. It's kind of a new fantasy steampunky type of series. Like I said, it's on Netflix. It dropped not too long ago. A really excellent world building.
Yeah, I heard it was good. I'm going to check it out eventually.
And now here's an interesting thing. It's based on a series of books called the Geisha-verse, right? Or at least that's what they're all in. The author has written a trilogy, a duology, and 2 duology right now, 2 duologies. And each one of these stories focuses on a different element within this world. Now, the interesting thing they've done reading this is when you watch this season, you think you're watching an adaptation of one book, which is not the case. It's actually an adaptation of two of her series.
That's pretty interesting.
And the thing is it feels very seamless. So this is a case where the source material was respected, and the details they changed from the source material to interweave these two stories into one season was really well done. Really, really well done. Definitely go check that out if you haven't. It's a Netflix. Like I said, Shadow and Bone. It's got Brad Barnes, who played Jigsaw from the Punisher series on Netflix. It's got a lot of other really interesting actors, and it's kind of a nice mix of steampunk and fantasy with magic, only they explain it as science, and a lot of really good kind of world building and lore that goes into it, and you really kind of get sucked in for the ride. Because it's like, I want to see what happens. And they had a really great cliffhanger. Now, as of yet, Netflix has not officially said they're going to pick up the series for another season. But knowing Netflix's proclivity to see if seasons do well, then they will order up to 3 seasons before they kill it. So we might get 3 seasons of this. It's really popular from what I can tell. The only concern they had was post-production was impacted because of COVID. Big shock, big surprise. And so that kind of thing. What about you? Did you have a series you checked out?
I actually, all in one night, last night actually, watched the new Amazon original animated show called Invincible, which is based off the comic of the same name. And it focuses on a teenager by the name of Mark Grayson, and he experiences... he is the son of the superhero Omni-Man, the most prominent superhero on Earth. And shortly after his 17th birthday, he starts to begin to develop his powers, so he starts to learn how to use his power under the tutelage of his father. That is the premise, and I do not want to say too much after that unless you've read the comic, because it takes a very hard left turns that you don't see coming. And what I can summarize this show as, it's very unorthodox when it comes to the superhero coming of age story, because it gets really violent, it gets really in depth to characterization and what is the meaning of the true hero, and is everything just smoke screen to what you expect to be your Superman per se. And it's only 8 episodes, that's why I was able to watch it in one night. And it will have you hooked from beginning to end. It's very much in the way, it's a very it's North American animated, but it is based off Robert Kirkman's comic book, and he's also part of the show. And what he's doing is he's trying to, what he did like with the Walking Dead show is fix some of the stuff that he wasn't able to capture in the comic itself. But it's very dark and gritty, and it does so much unexpectedness with its main characters and main group of characters, that unexpectedness is what drives you to just keep watching the show. And watching Mark develop into this character, this hero, he has to figure out what is most important to him by the end of the show. And the only reason I'm very on the surface, because it will spoil a lot. So you just got to experience it watching it. But it's
Where
very
is it again?
It's Amazon Prime. If I can say this, if you like The Boys, you will like this show.
Oh yeah, The Boys was
That's
fun.
all I'm gonna say. Because if you like The Boys, it does the same kind. Well, not same kind, but it does that same thing where what you expect your heroes to be, they aren't. So that's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
8 episodes, Amazon Prime. Check it out. Which I did one night because it was that good.
Oh, His Dark Materials. I haven't finished that one either. I binged the first season of His Dark Materials, started the second season, but I lost interest.
Yep, I know you recommend it to me, and I definitely will add it into the mix.
If you can, you should. There's another one I haven't started yet, which is Lovecraft Country.
Yeah, I heard that one was good too.
I heard that one was really
But
interesting.
I have no more school, so more shows, people. More shows to watch.
Alrighty, so real quick, if you hadn't checked out on my Instagram, my Instagram, I posted a video of some of the birthday gifts I got today. I want to show them again here, just because
They are amazing.
Yeah, I got this little plaque from my daughter. Really kind of cool. I'm putting it. I've actually put it right here so I can look at it whenever I'm losing focus, so that I can kind of get on that. And Ryan and I were having a little bit of a debate prior to the show, and that was because my son got me a pop. This is my first pop. It's the Deadpool LARP number 780. First one, only one I've got, and Ry is convinced that I will then become obsessed and start collecting these like he does.
Yes, you will. You might not. You might be methodical like me, where you only get the ones you really want, but it will build. It will build.
Change my mind. Comment down below in the comments here on YouTube if you think I should get more, and if you think I should get more, why don't you recommend which ones I should search for and convince me to get more pops. This one's kind of cool. He thought that since I do a lot of D&D stuff, I would like a D&D inspired pop. Just happens to also include Deadpool, because who doesn't love a merc with a mouth?
Yep. Once you get in, which everybody's told me, you really aren't going to stop, because then you'll focus on things that you like. Anime, Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings are my main three that I try to find, and yeah.
I've gone on record to say it before, and I'll say it again. Game of Thrones does not interest me.
Oh yeah, that's
I was
fine.
bored to tears with Game of Thrones.
It's not for everyone, but I love Game of Thrones. But I want all the pops.
So, change my mind, comment down below, and convince me to get more pops if you feel so inclined. Alright, so, hit our movies, now we'll talk about some games. Let's talk about some games. State of game. Talk about the various games we're playing and games we're playing them on. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of D&D stuff to talk about because I did not run any shows last weekend. However,
you did do something.
No.
Okay.
Before I get to that, I want to give a plug and a shout out to Jasper's Game Day.
Jasper.
I don't have a command in the chat. I'm literally just thinking this right now because last weekend kicked off Jasper's Game Day. If you're not familiar with Jasper's Game Day is a charity that raises funds for suicide prevention, suicide awareness. Really really great people to work with. I had a chance to play with Fenway, who's the head of that one in a game for Gary Kahn. Really wonderful individual. Looking forward to doing more work with her in the future. But this week is a week long of various games and whatnot. Go to Jasper's Game Day's website. Probably just jaspersgameday.com. Correct me if I'm wrong. Post it in there if you find it to make sure I'm accurate and correct. But check out Jasper's. They got a lot of really cool games. And another bit of interesting D&D stuff is apparently there's a new DM or a new player in the community.
Who is it?
That would be the one, the only, the twisted and enjoyable, always has you kind of guessing what he's going to do next, Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, really?
Yes. He has joined the D&D space and has a podcast that he's doing.
Speaking of that, here is the article.
Sorry, Jeff Goldblum. I've seen a lot of his stuff, and the fact that he's doing D&D now is like, that is just wild and crazy.
That is just awesome.
Because... check it out. Go find it. It's interesting. Links in the chat. But as for other stuff, did spend some time playing video games. And Ry, you've been doing your video game stuff, so why don't I take a break talking and you tell me about the games you were playing.
All right. Well, I always grab the controller and decide to play some games. This time I just focused, with the time that I played, it was on trying to progress through the good old Western that is Red Dead 2. I just enjoy just like you do. Sometimes you get in that open world and you just kind of navigate around and do things. I did do something stupid on accident this last time. Walked up in the city, and yeah, I started a fight with the. No, let me rephrase that. They started a fight with me.
Oh yeah, we have to have it right. They started a fight with you, but you finished the fight.
Yeah, I finished the fight, and when I mean I finished the fight, there was bodies in the water.
Yeah, we know how you finished the fight, Ry. What happened after you finished the fight?
After I finished the fight, I got away. So the way it works is, since it is a Rockstar game, you know, there's still a kind of wanted thing. But if you get out the area, they can't find you, so they can't identify you. But I'm trying to get out. I'm riding my horse, trying to, just ride into the post station because I wanted to pay my bounty. And all of a sudden, I get surrounded by cops, and I started getting chased down by the cops. So I'm riding my horse, and my dum-dum decides to, hey, I think I can swim my way. But accidentally, when I go to jump, my horse trips, falls. I fall in the water, but when my horse falls, he cracks his neck and dies. So I had to go get a new horse. But
moral of the story: don't pick a fight in a city.
Yeah, but the way I got a new horse was I did a mission for my ex. Like when you play through the story, there is a woman that comes in and out of your life, and she needs your help with trying to get her father out of these gambling rings because he drinks a lot and then he just gambles stuff away, and then he gambled away the family heirloom that her mother gave her. You chase down the guy that did it, and that's what I did. I chased down the guy, chased him down to the woods, and I beat him till he gave it back to me. He wanted a price for it, so I beat it down till I got the right price, and then when he went off, I took him out with my 6-shooter and took his horse. So I got a new horse from him. So moral story is, there's always a way to get a horse. And doing it for your lady is always a good thing. Remember that, folks. Yeehaw.
I got nothing on that one, dude. I mean, that just sounds like a comedy of errors.
Yeah, it's a comedy of errors that ended up where I didn't have to... I got my money back. I got a new horse. It was white and spotted, and actually is faster than my previous horse. So...
But isn't that great about a game like that? The way they programmed it, and the AI, and the fact that you can do that.
Oh yeah, and it's
the
not
randomness of it, the absolute randomness of that whole scenario.
Oh yeah, it is.
And the fact that you could do it in a modern video game.
Yeah, it's just so great. That's why every time I play that game, there's always something different and new going on. So like the one time when I mentioned before, I found a group doing their thing in the woods. But the fun stuff is actually when you go out on the bounties. Those are the fun stuff.
Yeah, the bounty hunting is always fun.
But,
So you did that, and what was the other one you did?
The other one is being a slave to raccoons in Animal Crossing. But this time I decided I actually made it to this island that was a maze, so I picked up a lot of resources, but the biggest thing I picked up was a recipe for a ladder. And the reason that's important is because there's places you can't reach, and the ladder helps you get to those places. So I was able to get even more resources and even fall into the prospect of even more debt maybe coming in the future. So thank you, raccoons. I am forever yours. But ironically, it's still fun and pleasant to do because, you just go around the island fishing and doing all this stuff. I actually have a garden of pumpkins now because I've been buying a lot of pumpkin plants. So I'm growing a lot of pumpkins because they sell really good at the market. So I make a lot of money selling the pumpkins.
As long as you're putting that money into your debt with the raccoons, so you get the raccoons off your back.
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny. Whenever you go into the store, they stalk you like glue on stick when you're in that store trying to sell you stuff. So.
Wow. Wow.
Still fun. I have a huge garden. That's all that matters. I have my own business, pumpkin business. So there you go. Those are the only 2 games I've been playing.
I managed to get some serious time on Days Gone, and 3 or 4 days of playing Days Gone. It took me till about the 3rd day to where I finally started understanding how to play the game.
It has very strange mechanics. I will give it that.
It does have some interesting mechanics, and I will say it's probably not one I'm super invested in to finish, other than just to finish what I started, which is something I have a hard time doing with video games. Days Gone, it's about to come out on PC. It's going to release on PC this month, so you'll be able to play it on PC. I'm actually really excited to see what the mod community can do to it.
It's going to be fun in that game.
But the whole mechanic with the motorcycle took a bit of understanding. I had to go to the wikis and do some reading and then do some prac app with playing. And coming off of Horizon Zero Dawn into Days Gone is kind of really hard because Horizon just looks better. And some of the mechanics aren't as instrumental to completing the game. Like in Horizon, you can figure out how to control machines and ride from one end of map to the other. Days Gone's map is deceptive on how big the map is, and everything's tied to the motorcycle, which I get is a core mechanic of the game. Your motorcycle is basically your mobile quick save location. When you get to a certain point in upgrades, you can have a complete restock of ammunition. But going into it, it's the fact that when you go into it, it's realizing that the noise you make can impact how certain mobs will be attracted to you. So naturally, I'm like, all right, I'm going to try and make as little noise as possible. That actually made the game really, really difficult, even on normal and easy, because I'm trying my best not to make any noise. Once you get past that and build up some trust in the camps, it's less about that and more about, okay, how do I get through from one end to the other? The game, it really feels like a grind in having to go through and build up, because I'm only in the first phase of the game. I don't want to rush through the phases because I want to build up all my trust level before I move into the next phase. But the game is a grind. The only saving grace about the grind is the fact riding from one end of the map to the other, the visuals, the music, the ambient sound is really, really kind of enjoyable. But I'm already at a point where things feel very monotonous. And while this is a great game, this is a great story that you're into, and I'm really kind of invested in Deacon and his story, I'm not super excited about slogging through trying to find enemy after enemy. And to be fair, the hordes actually terrify the crap out of me, because just getting swarmed by 10 or 5 or 10 of the zombies right now is kind of rough. But I came across my first couple of hordes, and that's kind of terrifying, because right now I don't have the right weapons or gear to take on hordes. And you have to, in order to complete the game, you have to be able to knock out all 20 or 40 hordes.
Yeah, it does. It's very... The one thing I give plus, because I did play the game for a little bit, is the atmosphere. And it does give you the feeling of lostness, because you have to have the right weapons. You have to be very methodical moving around certain hordes. And also...
Yeah, I already realized there's a few ways in my early game skill choices that I should have done in a different order, but I think I could get past that. Yeah. But I think it's going to be one of those... It's like I have to grind through, and because I have to grind, I'm not really super thrilled. Like, I'd be fine with putting something else on as to listen to and just kind of running through this like I would run through Minecraft.
Oh yeah.
But I'm ready, and one of the things I was realizing I was ready to do is to add another game to my rotation. Only this time I was going to be fair and do a game on Xbox.
Yeah.
But as happens every time I turn on my Xbox, every time I look at my library I have access to, which is a crap ton of games.
You and me both. Trust me.
I'm left with a lot like the conundrum of how cable television has 200 channels and there's nothing on to watch. I have access to over 200 games. I don't know what to play.
Have you finished Valhalla?
Not really interested to go back to it.
Okay.
I thought about it. I did the update. Same thing with Cyberpunk, but I feel like we got that game back in what, December, November?
This Cyberpunk,
November.
we got it. No, December.
Cyberpunk we got in December. Valhalla we got in November.
Yeah.
That's what, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. That's like 7 months since I picked up that game. I'm better off just starting fresh, because I can't remember the button mechanics on that.
Speaking of adding to my rotation, you speak of Valhalla. The expansion is about to drop soon, so there goes my game in rotation, because I need something to hold me over till that one I mentioned to you, Scarlet Nexus, drops in June. So
yeah, I mean, I want to finish Days Gone because I want to move on to the next game. I think I want to try Spider-Man.
Which one?
The first one.
Okay.
Obviously. You gotta start with the first one, then you can really appreciate Miles more, but I'll have to ask you about borrowing Spider-Man when I get to that point.
Yeah.
Because the main story on Days Gone is like 60 plus hours. Yeah. I've put 20, 30 hours into it already, and I'm not even past the first phase of the game. Because I'm like,
back on it, May.
I will try.
But no, yeah, definitely. The Spider-Man game is definitely a lot of fun. Miles Morales is an attachment. It feels like a continuation, but even more fun.
Yeah, it is. I'm thinking I might try Gears 5. I haven't played Gears 5, even though I own a copy.
Gears is the only games that I can never get into, but yet I have them.
I have all the novels. I just went through the latest novel releases. They're really good. I like the novels. I like the world. Yeah. And I figured I would try Gears 5, and I tried the tutorial bit just to kind of get reacquainted with it. But it's like trying to balance. It's like I play this game and that game, this game, that game, this game, that game, and trying to balance the two and remembering the button control. Days Gone isn't really unique in a lot of its it's a lot of its actions, because it's very much rinse and repeat and take all these elements from others' games. So it's really just the bike riding and all that kind of stuff that I really enjoy. And I'm wondering, and that's the only parts of the game I enjoy. Fighting the zombies, fighting the rippers, fighting the mercenaries. Not super excited, but I know I have to fight them in order to get my bike fully upgraded so I can ride around the map and just be like, all right, come at me, bro.
Yep. Well, open world, you have plethora of enemies. I'm dealing with people in the street wanting to fight me and horses dying, and you're dealing with zombies, so yay for us.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've been at this for about an hour. I think it's about ready to wrap up. But before we do that, let's address the AT in the room, and that is, yes, today is my birthday.
Yes,
there are
sir.
people wishing me happy birthday in the chat. Thank you, everyone, for all those birthday wishes. I'm not going to prompt anyone to sing the song because it's copyrighted, and I don't want to get a copyright hit on my on the channel.
For you.
But thank you, everyone, for all the birthday wishes. Yes, I do really enjoy the fact that my birthday is Star Wars Day. I get to talk about sci-fi and fantasy and all those fun things which I grew up on as a kid. Oh, thank you to Ry for hanging out with me for another night.
Always awesome.
So we could do this wonderful weekly podcast where we talk about games and movie reviews and those kinds of things. Again, a shout out to Sirenscape for the background music and soundboards, especially the sci-fi theme, which is called the Alien Cantina, which you got to be careful because, again, you never know what's going to happen.
Somebody shot first.
Yeah. And then, of course,
somebody shot first.
Yeah, it's rough out here in the cantina, man. It's really rough.
I just wanted to drink and say hi.
Oh, yeah. The crowd, let the crowd move in and all that fun stuff.
Can't go to the pod races now, sadly.
We'll get there.
Okay.
So, yeah, all those fun things for that. Again, and if you hung out with us to the end of this video, thank you very much. You are awesome and amazing. I really appreciate that. And if you enjoyed this content, please hit the like button. And if you want to find out more, hit the subscribe, hit the little bell notification so you can be notified when more videos come out. And if you want to support the show and support the studio and the stuff that we create, you could do that by heading over to patreon.com/scuba studio. Check it out. If you want to do it, great. That's awesome and amazing. this Saturday, plans as they stand is 1 p.m. We're going to have Shadow Watch, which is a live D&D game with me and four wonderful individuals. We get to play D&D. They're level 9. They're in the Underdark. They're going to try and infiltrate a drow house that just got set up as they are refugees and relocated to this area. So that'll be fun. 8 p.m. Saturday night here on YouTube is another live D&D game called Challenge Accepted. This is a group. This is a kind of an expanding group of cast members. I've got 4 right now. They are getting ready to. They just entered a lizard folk colony, and you're gonna have to try and figure out what it is they're doing there and how they can help, and try to prevent some type of conflict from touching off, either helping them, hurting them. We don't know, but they're currently playing through the Ghost of Saltmarsh adventure, modified for my particular world setting. So that'll be fun to watch. Check those out. And then Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern here is Sunday with Scoob. That's where I spend a couple hours painting miniatures and chatting with friends. If you're a certain Patreon tier, you can come into a live voice channel I have where we can talk about games and all these other kind of things. Ry tends to hang out with me, and we'll probably run through some odds and ends stories just for giggles while I work on some miniatures. I've been
random conversations, more laid back. So
yeah, I kind of wish I had a Star Wars model for this whole Star Wars bit. All my current Star Wars ones are painted, but I don't have any new ones.
Should try it out.
I should try.
Try
but with that,
it out.
You all stay safe. Be safe. Do all the things. Spring is here. Almost summer. Almost time for the travel season and all those things. And thank you very much for spending your night with us. You guys have a wonderful time, and we will see you on our next stream. Good night, everybody.
Peace.
How the hell did that get moved all the way up there?
I don't know.
I don't know. Well, I'll turn the mics off now because the mics are hot.